Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Rain and Beauty, the podcast where we explore the science, soul, and sparkle of living radiantly at every stage of life. I'm your host, Shannon, and today's episode is the kickoff to our new series, Menopause Mastery. And let me tell you, this isn't just hot flashes and hormone swings, okay? This is about reclaiming our power, redefining beauty, and rewriting the narrative around this season of our lives. So grab your coffee, tea, whatever it is that you're drinking at this time of day, because the heat waves have us glowing, sometimes a little too much. And let's dive in. And with no pun intended, I have a story to share, okay? Oh boy, this is almost difficult to really even talk about, but it's crazy because it truly goes so perfectly with this new series. So this past weekend, I was over on the East Coast of Florida with my bestie, right? We're celebrating her son's birthday. They had just bought a boat. So naturally, we packed up early on a Saturday morning and we headed out onto the water for what we thought would be a picture perfect day. But here's the thing. Before I even left home, I asked Alexa, like I always do, about the weather in Sebastian Inlet. She said thunderstorms, and what stuck out to me, or I should say, didn't stick out to me till after, but she also warned of rip currents in the area for the entire weekend, like through Sunday. And I truly didn't think much about it. I packed my bag, I finished work for the day, and I, got on my little adventure because it's about 3 hours from coast to coast here in Florida. So, fast forward to Saturday morning. By afternoon, we'd been boating, laughing, enjoying the sandbars and the dolphins and just all the beauty around us. I enjoyed them showing me up and down the intercoastal, and it was absolutely beautiful. Now, storm clouds were literally rolling in on our way back. We had gone down the intercoastal a bit. So, we were turning around and going to go back and hit some of the sandbars. And as we were, the clouds were starting to roll in from the west. But like true Floridians that we are, we figured, it'll pass. Well, we get to the sandbar and my bestie jumped in the water first. Then I did. I had just upon going down the back stairs of the boat, turned around and said, you know what? Grab my float. Can you hand me my float? And thank God I did. Because the second I climbed down that ladder, I realized I couldn't touch the bottom. And the depth finder on the boat was saying it was only 3.5 feet deep. Well, guess what, guys? Within seconds, I was drifting away from the boat. I paddled. I kicked. I tried to swim towards the boat, but it felt like swimming against a giant treadmill. My body was literally working overtime, but I wasn't getting anywhere. It was absolutely one of the most scariest moments when you realize, holy shit, I can't freaking go in the direction anymore that I'm trying to go. And that was when I realized I was in a rip current. Now, the captain jumped in to help, but the same thing happened to him, but only worse. He didn't have a float. And when he first jumped in, he was like, oh, I can reach. But within minutes, he was now being pulled away fast. I could see the panic on his face. The boat is rocking. The rain is literally slamming down. The sky turned black, and us realizing this had gone from fun to dangerous in a freaking instant. Now, thank God for a couple of teenagers on jet skis who saw what was happening, and we flagged them over and they pulled him out. Honestly, you guys, they saved his life. This would not have been good. And when I tell you the storm hit us right then, it was so hard afterward that you could barely see 3 feet in front of you. Anyone who's ever watched like Wicked Tuna or even the movie The Perfect Storm, and the boat is rocking and the rain is coming down so hard and it is pelting you, let's just say that day etched itself into my memory forever. And here's why I wanted to share this with you today. Menopause is a lot like that fucking rip current. You think you're fine. You think you're floating along, maybe a little tired, maybe a little off with the brain fog, but then suddenly your body changes directions and you're fighting with everything you have. But you feel like you're not making progress. And just like that day on the water, without the right knowledge, tools, and support, you can feel like you're drowning. I'm right there with you guys. That's why today's episode of Menopause and Mastery is so important, because this stage of life is not meant to pull us under. It's meant to teach us how to ride the current with power, grace, and yes, a lot of humor. For decades, menopause has been whispered about in hushed tones, like it's some secret shame. But here's the reality. Every single woman who lives long enough will go through it. That's half of the population. And yet, many of us are left to figure it out alone. Personally, I didn't get the talk about menopause. Nobody really sat me down, not even my doctor. We will get to that. And said, like, hey, Shan, around 47 or so, yeah, your body might suddenly start playing hormonal whack-a-mole. No, instead, I was left wondering why I couldn't sleep. That was my first symptom. And I was such a great sleeper. When I tell you, sleep was never a problem. Like, I was a great sleeper, and it was as though I had gone to bed one evening, and when I woke up about 4.5 years ago, I couldn't sleep anymore. Like, it was just like a light switch. You guys, honestly, I think about it, and it's kind of been treated just like a storm, right? And we're just supposed to weather it. No map, no guide, no conversation, no depth finder. Like, just fucking deal with it. But science says otherwise. And yet, just like me ignoring Alexa's warning about the rip current, many of us head into this stage without the education we need. But awareness is power. And education can be the difference between drowning and mastering this whole thing. You know, they teach us, right? When you're caught in a rip current, instinct says fight harder. That was totally what I was doing, even though I was even taught otherwise. But survival experts say, don't fight it, right? Work with it. Swim parallel. Find the path out. Well, the irony is the same goes for menopause. If we think about it, you guys, our brain fog and mood swings, it's not weakness. It's neurotransmitters shifting with our hormone shifts. hot flashes, and sleep loss, these are our body's signals. They're not punishments. Weight around the midsection? Well, biology. It's not failure, okay? So the lesson here, fighting harder isn't the answer. Shifting our strategy is. So I feel like over the last 4.5 years in perimenopause, I've learned to swim with the current instead of against it. So a couple of the things that I have found that work for me are my science-backed helpers, like my peptides. The GLP-1 has truly helped me to stay on track. Okay? NAD, collagen, magnesium. I take about 7 different types at night. They've all been lifesavers for energy, for my skin, for my weight, and for my sleep. Strength training, not just to tone me, and as you guys know, all of my yoga, but it's for my metabolism and for my bone density. Because listen, you guys, after 50, muscle is medicine. Like our bodies actually need it. So we need to make sure that our protein intake is wicked high. And community and humor. My girlfriend's text threads of hot flash memes, and honestly, those are as medicinal as anything in a bottle. We laugh, and remember, laughter lowers cortisol. So, like that moment I thought I could just swim harder against the riptide, myths keep women stuck. Let's bust a few of these myths, will we? Here we go. Myth. This is just the end of your youth. Truth. It's the beginning of a new radiance fueled by wisdom, freedom, and authenticity. Myth. You just have to suffer through it. Truth. Solutions actually exist, from nutrition to bioidentical hormones to acupuncture, because silence is not strength. Myth. You'll never find or you'll never feel like yourself again. With the right tools, you can feel more you than ever, just like catching the current that carries you safely back to shore. So here's the fun part, right? Because if you can't laugh at menopause, you're missing one of its best medicines. I like to call them the menopause superpowers. And let's not skip the beauty angle because, well, hello, this is Rain in Beauty. So skin, I swear by my collagen peptides in my morning shake and my topical serums that work with cellular energy. I use the Equalite cream. I use Balba and raspberry seed oil. And it truly helps for the menopausal dryness on my face. Hair, though, you guys, a lot of people complain about this. I can't actually tell if it is a factor for me yet. But just so you guys know, for your hair and women who are experiencing this, it's because of the lower estrogen. Lower estrogen actually can trigger hair thinning. I've doubled down, though, just in case, and not to mention it feels really good, on scalp massages and peptides that actually will support the follicle health on your scalp. And my other favorite thing is the fact that I am so embracing the gray hair. Y'all, I love it. Not only is it easier to maintain, but I used to pay a lot of money. I mean, I still do. But the beauty is I don't have to go as often. But I love the brightness that it gives me. And mine is currently like just around my face. So I am completely embracing the gray. Bring it. I want to be like my 96-year-old grandmother who has the absolute most gorgeous head of silver hair that one has ever seen. And obviously, you guys, the glow secret is all about hydration, right? Hydration, sleep, joy, and saying no without guilt. Because that, my friends, is the true alchemy. Remember, beauty in this season is not about chasing 25 again. Forget that. I would never even want to go back to 25. It's about owning the face, the body, and obviously the wisdom that we have right now. My father used to tell me all the time, Shannon, I have earned every one of these lines on my face. And do you know, I totally get that now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do use a little Botox to cover them up, but I still want to look a little bit normal because he's right. I I've earned every one of these damn lines on my face. And I am not afraid to be 51. So, back to my menopause superpowers, and they look a lot like this. Walking into a freezing restaurant and feeling, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Or saying no without even an explanation. Because guess what? Boundaries sharpen beautifully in our 50s. Ain't that the truth? Or what about this one? Finding your phone in the fridge and laughing about it instead of crying about it. Because the truth is, humor lowers our cortisol, like I said, and joy is an essential nutrient at every stage. So, when wrapping up today's story, the day on the water reminded me that storms and rip currents can come out of nowhere. But with knowledge, tools, and a little help, you don't drown. You actually get stronger. Menopause is very much the same, you guys. It's not the end of beauty. It's a shift in tides, in innovation, to learn new ways of moving, living, and glowing. So, my beauties, thank you for joining me for episode 7. And next week, we'll be diving into hormones and harmony. Doesn't that sound exciting? Where I'll break down natural and medical ways to balance your body through this transition. Until then, remember, your beauty isn't being washed away. It's being rewritten by the tide, and you, my loves, are the captain of this ship.